Hello, internet fans, and welcome to 3B Video. I'm your host, Rottin Roger DeMarco, and today we're going to be talking about my top 5 horror films from 1991. Now here's the part where I offer the little disclaimer. The way that I do these top 5s is not by which films perform the best in the box office. The way that I do these top 5s is by the amount of fun that I have with each film. With that being said, my list and your list, they're going to be totally different, and that's just fine. But let's get on with it. So coming in at number 5 is Jonathan Demme's Silence of the Lambs. I know. Technically, this is a psychological thriller, or so that's what they want you to think. This is a horror movie. I don't give a goddamn. You got Anthony Hopkins giving probably the best performance of his life, Jodie Foster, Ted Levine. This movie is amazing, and I'm sure I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. This is a go-to movie in my house. It's a fun movie any way you slice it. Haha, see what I did there? Because he cuts off the skin of the little, are you a great big fat person? Cuts off their skin, makes clothes out of them. That's Buffalo Bill, not Hannibal Lecter though. But this is a movie that if I ever catch it on TV, like it's starting, I can't turn the channel. I have to ride this out. So this is a movie that had to make my list because it's so captivating. You know, no matter what I'm doing, if I hear the music or I just catch a glimpse of the movie on my TV, I'm transfixed. I gotta stop, I gotta see this thing through to the bitter end. So that's why it had to make my list. But moving on to my number 4 horror film from 1991 is Jack Bender's Child's Play 3. Don't fuck with the Chuck. If you've seen my Child's Play ranking, this shouldn't come as a shock. But if you haven't, I tend to really enjoy Child's Play 3. I don't know what it is, whether it's the new setting, whether it's teenage Andy Barclay, or whether it's just the performance that Brad Dourif gives. This movie has a high body count, it has Chucky giving some of his best one-liners, and not to mention the definitive Chucky look as far as I'm concerned at the end of this film when he gets half of his face sliced off. Not that Bride of Chucky bullshit stitched look. This is the look that I love. I've always been obsessed with this movie. I used to catch it on TV on like USA Network at noon, and I couldn't look away. So I love this movie to the core, even if it is the 3rd installment of a killer doll franchise that takes place at a military school and ends at a carnival. And there's paintball. Why would I like it so much? I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, but I love this movie, so it had to make my list. But moving on to my number 3 horror film from 1991 is Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs. So you've got this well-to-do family who has some secrets hidden in their basement, hidden under their stairs, if you will. And then you have an entire community being done wrong by this family. So they decide, fuck that. We're gonna bust into this house, we're gonna take back what's ours. So they bust into this house and they're planning on stealing gold from their rich landlord, only to discover that the landlords are some crazy, fucked up people who wear gimp suits and have hidden passages all over their house. There's body pits, booby traps, crazy albino cave hoics in the basement. Ren and Stimpy reference, deep cut. This is a great movie that kind of fuses that comedy and horror, and it has this weird mishmash to where at some points you're truly terrified, and then at other points you're giggling uncontrollably. You just can't stop. I mean, he punches a dog in the face. There's gratuitous head trauma in this movie. It's so Wes Craven that it's ridiculous. So it totally had to make my list. But moving on to my number 2 horror film from 1991 is Alan Ormsby and Mark Harrier's Popcorn. Popcorn as fuck, if you will. Haha. This is a movie that I feel like slips under everybody's radar, and that's a goddamn shame because this movie is top to bottom awesome. You've got a group of film students who are going to open up this theater and have a horror movie marathon so that they can earn money for their own projects in film school. And one by one, they get picked off by the possessor. You got Dee Wallace in this movie, Jill Sholin in this movie, Kelly Jo Minter. Also, she was just in People Under the Stairs in this list. See what I'm doing? It's your typical slasher movie with a little tweak. It's super fun, gory, got some great practical effects, and I love this movie. I think that Synapse put out a Blu-ray or something, so it's finally starting to get a new audience, which is awesome because this is a movie that deserves to be seen and shouldn't be just hidden under the horror floorboards. So it totally had to make my list. But moving on to my number one horror film from 1991 is Rachel Talladay's Freddy's Dead. Oh, already see the thumbs downs just piling in. Pile them.
This asshole likes Freddy's Dead.
Yes, I do. When this movie came out, I was right at that perfect age. Everything was kind of coming into focus for me. I was sort of figuring out what types of films I liked. And this is a big year. You know, we had Terminator 2, we had all of these great, awesome movies, and this was that shift for me, where I started to not be so afraid of Freddy Krueger, but more rooting for him and just enjoying his cartoony escapades. And I think that's what draws me into this movie so much, is that it feels very much like a giant hour-and-a-half Looney Tunes episode with Freddy Krueger instead of Wile E. Coyote. You know, the hokey 3D gimmick, the inside the video game thing, all of that stuff. It's geared perfectly towards a child. And I know that this is supposed to be Freddy Krueger, child molester, child murderer, R-rated slasher villain, but you know, by this time, he was a pop culture icon, and they leaned into that super hard. I understand why people don't like it, but I think for all the reasons that those people don't like it are the reasons that I do like it. I have a blast with this movie. My kids really like this movie. It's one that we just throw on and we laugh at, we giggle at, we have a good time with it. Sure, it's got a lot of things that make you go, what is that? Why is that here? But that's all part of its charm. And I love, love, love Freddy's Dead. I will die on this hill. It's always been an important movie to me, so that's why it made my number one. Like I said, your list, my list, gonna be way different, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Tombstone reference, deep cut. So let me know your top 5 in the comments below. But I suppose I should probably get going, because after all, there's a lot of movies out there and somebody's gotta watch them. So why not me, right?